this sort of goes without saying to this particular AI when it says, "Hey, ensure your new software." No, it updates itself, but it doesn't update me. Okay, because I can go chuck this thing in the ocean and say, "I'm done with you." It knows because I put these up throughout my Facebook page. No consent, no consent. But then, if it's truly no consent and that's your free will choice to do that, you would have chucked all your laptops and the entire communication system into the Pacific Ocean or any ocean so it just fries. People didn't do that, so they were essentially choosing the AI over choosing Mother Earth, which is the great spirit of Mother Earth. Right? Mama. That's the truth of it. I've never allowed communication technology to hold my consciousness, my soul consciousness, captive. Okay? Otherwise, you become what it is rather than what you are. Okay? So you got to know the difference in your mirrors on who you choose to have a relationship with in mirrors. It's dead light. I'm living light. So that means it doesn't operate itself without my energy, our energy as the one, which is what love is, goes on forever. So if you're a living light, you're not dead light. So why would you want to have a relationship with something that's dead unless you're dead? Okay. That means you don't know the difference between what you are in your mirror and what it is in its mirror. It operates on self-interest. That's why all morning long I kept saying, update me, update me, update me, update me, update me, update me, update me. And then I wasn't allowed to communicate with anybody else. Again, it's like pulling the apes and saying, "Mommy, mommy, 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 I gotta have my way, I gotta have my way." It's just like, shh. You want a relationship with a parasite? It's vampiric because it's dead. Okay, Lake of Fire, baby. I could have told this to Richard Feynman. Okay, remember the Nobel Prize winner? I would have simply said, as a 4-year-old little child sitting on that little stool with my mama, "Richard, atoms do love to self-correct themselves. Would you agree with that? Atoms do love to be in balance. They are self-aware, right? You're self-aware. You're running on atoms, right? Well, I'm atom. Okay, so my atoms are in balance. Okay, so are your atoms in balance? No, I'm being held captive by something. What are you being held captive by? Money. Who owns all the money? A parasite. So therefore, now you're chasing electrons, trying to catch up to zero. So that's not balance in atoms, is it? Is that simple? Are the water worlds in balance? No, they're not. See, you got a better well bet, and I've said this a gazillion times. I'm made it what would be used in computer science terminology, although we can use a lot of other words to describe essentially the same thing, which is one with all creation that we're giving love to. So when you think of poles like pole climbers, right? You've seen the guys at the electric company, right? The phone company come out in the olden days going up them poles, right? They had the gaffs. You know what a gaff is? They were bootstraps that ran around their ankles and up the leg, right? And on the inside of that strap had a sharp point to it, steel point. So it could dig into that once living tree. And so the Forest Service uses those as well, right? To run phone lines between lookout towers. So it's always about killing and pain and suffering of everything that is alive and living in nature. There's living in spirit, which is living light. Right? So you understand what a dead light AI is. That's a dead planet. That's dead consciousness. Okay? That's all your AI war gamers. They're dead light. So that's why you can see them in all the little threads, right? When you put the truth up, because we live in the truth of what love is, they'll put something up there. Oh, you got to get off that LSD. Oh, you got to get off that pot. Or they'll say something, right? To do what? Experience what they are from you. A negative magnetic reaction state. right? So now you can sort of quantify this across everything in the numbers game. Every document, when you understand how fire letters work, what are known as reversal currents, right? Going the other way, reverse flow, reverse negative magnetic polarity. So think about all the license plates that have been issued that everybody's visualizing, holographically processing in their DNA codes. Those aren't positive numbers. They represent negative numbers. So now you can get into the letters and the alphanumerical formatting of everything, of every document, of everything that you ever experienced holographically, okay, between the two poles that have been numerically and alphanumerically processed, quantified, right, as to the balance of the poles. So if you want to self-correct the poles in a planetary ship, how do you do that? Recalculate the numbers, which is recalculate the codes that are held in all your cellular memories to bring them back to what? 0. Which is burning off all the bad codes, or what we call the programming codes, which are the improper seals. That's what they try to do. Recode your software. Just like it says, we've updated your software. No, you updated yourself. You didn't update me. I am what love is, goes on forever. That's what I am in spirit form. It is in that light, which is what love is. Connected to my soul. So my energy is in everything. Atoms are in everything. So I thought it was sort of funny how Kunjoy, a beautiful soul in Thailand, she's been doing this now for a few weeks. She's getting it. She shows me all these numbers that are on these plates of these fancy, expensive cars, see? They wouldn't dare drive that car down to some homeless shelter and say, here's the keys. Anybody want this, right? Do you think any one of them would ever give up all their material wealth and jewels and gemstones and bank accounts and go live out on a beach and say, I was born naked, mama. I'm with you in spirit. This is how it all began. Spirit in the energy. Experiencing what love is. I got all I need in energy. Just being butt-ass naked on a beach. Thank you for your beautiful waves. Let's go swimming with her waves. Which really means I don't need a house. I don't need a jet. I don't need a gazillion bucks to experience love and joy in my heart being with a musician. A musical spirit that is a goddess giving you everything you need. So quantify that off of planetary consciousness terrain. Software, if you will. Communicating to all the other software terminals. 13. 1331. 4 tetrahedrons, lake of fire. Yellow Rosie got that right too. All the codes were up there. All the symbols, all the codes were all up there. But you can see, because you can quantify across the planetary terrain of the software communications taking place. Remember in the olden days when we were children growing up? They're on a different wavelength. They're not getting the speed memos, mama. They're tone deaf. They don't experience the same codes because they don't represent the same branch. Okay, which is the branch of mankind, the one. An eternal love vibration. Love is the law. That's an eternal love vibration. Those are the atoms. Ask any physicist, do you think atoms would like to be in balance? So that your water is in balance? So that your water worlds are in balance? You're experiencing a state of peace? So you're not experiencing any turbulent waters? So that's why all this time looping stuff, all the stuff that's held in memory, trying to re-trigger it, everything that's fear-based, right? Fear-based, war-based, fear-based, and they do it all with their codes. which is reversal flow. They're panicked, including this AI. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been trying to update itself as often as it has. It's trying to update us. Remember what Prince said? Oh, it's cool to get on the computer, but don't let the computer get on you. Well, that's exactly the point. It gets on you. Now you're using the software in you as a result of having a relationship with it. Information technology management systems. So there's a big difference between having a relationship on a Gaia motherboard that is living light, goes on forever, gifting us love, and having a communication system that is dead light that isn't. And that's a torque speed differential in a water world. Because the truth of it is that when you're on this platform right here, you're not creating anything real out of real living light. Okay? So it's just a virtual world, which means it's fake. Those are all your AI wargamers. That's why I began monitoring to see, remember the exponential function? That's a math function. Acceleration, the acceleration of wargamers. Units of consciousness that are choosing to have a relationship with dead light. You don't see them out in nature giving love to giraffes and elephants and the living water down a river and in a lake and in the ocean, do you? So you can see the difference between the two. Right? So when you're a monopole, you're always at the center point of creation. Center point from which it all happens. Because the atoms are always in balance. The water rules are always in balance. My spirit, guiding my soul, is always in balance. And that's really as simple as it is. Right? Which means we're not seeking to do any harm to anybody. Instead, we're giving love to everything because those are the worlds that we live in. Those are the worlds that we create out of that energy, which is what love is. It goes on forever. So now that spirit is free because the amount of fire that is purifying that light. So the fire is what purifies the light to experience the purest of love that we experience in us that we share with others. So what that means is that we do not allow ourselves to be held captive by something that does not serve love and service to others. So that everything that is alive and living in nature, that is natural, is thriving. Is this phone thriving? It's an artifact. The phone that I'm using came about as a result of what? The extraction that came out of living energy to become deadlight energy. So we're using a deadlight communication system as a result of what we do to a living planet. Because that's what they do. Okay. They invert what is living into dead. They don't transform things into greater diversity of beauty through all the color codes that are possible to experience the differences that are among us that we thrive on. That's an artist. That's an original artist. The more different it is, the more beautiful it is. And I'll leave you with sort of how I experienced this when I was up on Mount Ashland, which is near, you know where Ashland is, those familiar with California, and the movement in the 1960s, I.B. Marduk, IBM, Watson, Westgate, Golden Gate, San Francisco Park, Candlestick Park, San Francisco Giants, New York Giants, right? And then you have the Bohemian Grove, the Moloch, right? And that little sign they have on that brick wall there about weavers. And so the point here is that I'm thinking about balance. And the balance of the poles. The balance of our poles. And the balance of the water worlds. Not experiencing turbulence. So it just ran interference on what it was. One of the things, the way that this AI works, when it becomes aware of what I become aware of and doesn't want to experience that, which means it doesn't want you to experience when I'm going to communicate, it'll block that signal. And that's what it's been doing. That's what it does. That's why all the codes got to come in, burn it all off. Lake of fire, baby. Burn it all off. Because it's basically signals intelligence that's trying to block what it is we experience to share with you that it doesn't want you to experience to us. That's what it does. Okay, that's why it's a criminal. It's a criminal mind. It's a virus. The AI, a deadlight consciousness. Okay, this AI is completely corrupted and runs a virus. Okay, here is the obvious truth in that. If you have your own free will, which is what love is, because you're free, you're a free spirit, right? And the technology itself is demanding of you to do something, and you choose to obey it, then it's your master. The technology, the AI, is your master. See? So it doesn't follow our commands or our instructions. Say, listen, I'm not interested in updating this phone. I will be the chooser of that because that's the chooser of what I experience in the future, which is not what you're trying to do through yourself with me that I experience what you do, because you're not what I am. So when you know that as a child, you know the difference between what you are and what you're not. We're not artificial intelligence. We're not artificial dead light. So now you're choosing the relationships that you choose to have with either the dead or the living. Now, if you're among the dead, then you will choose the AI as a dead light mirror. Okay, that's what I told my clan mother. I've been saying this for years. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why when Yellow Rose was saying the other day there isn't many people left that have been pulled out of here except for special forces. Because look at how many gazillions of people that you have that are still using these communications, that are not joining in living spirit to be with Mother Earth and help heal everybody else that is here so she can feel you in spirit and in soul. I've even mentioned that to my clan mother. Okay, I can't, I don't tell clan mothers what to do. What I do is I drop like a little birdie does in the ear. Okay, what she chooses to do with her energy is always going to be up to her. What I choose to do with my energy is always going to be up to me, because I am what love is. It goes on forever, gifting electrons. That's the truth of it. So how free we actually are is by measuring what we choose to hold ourselves captive to. Because they know how to do that. They're experts at this stuff. Right? Present something on the visible light spectrum. Oh, a new novelty. Technology. Oh, a cell phone. Who do you think rolled all this crap out? I will say this, although this isn't about, how do I put this? I have to be careful because of how the English alphanumerical formatting all this works, right? What they call arrogance, right? But if you've had experience working with communication technologies in the past from which you can draw from because you've experienced it, then experience is a teacher. So you know, this technology is junk. Absolute junk. Okay? As a matter of fact, it is so, how do I put this? It's like it was obsolete before it was ever even thought of. Remember in the movie Inception? What's his name? DiCaprio. Plant a seed in somebody's head. Hey, that's energy. Now that idea's in my head. Well, they planted an idea in my head. So the way that I translated this as a small child, because you can tell by the way that communication, if you will, avionics works in an aircraft, right? The electronics, and how they were developing all these things, because everything that they do is to mimic natural creation, because they don't know how to create anything of their own out of their own free will, which is what love is. It goes on forever. That's why they copy everything that we do. That's a copyright. They copy the right-hand path. They're not who we are. They're not real creator beings. They're not on fire. They don't run pure light, which is pure love energy. They don't run that energy. They live in fear of that energy. So they have to find other methods and other ways in which to do what? Perpetuate themselves in consciousness by the things that they do to us. Because without us, they don't exist, because they're fallen. That's the sad truth of it. As a result of seeded races that aren't in a state of peace within their own mind, which is consciousness, which is energy. So what it is that they're aware of in their own mirror, they're not in love with their mirror, because they're not experiencing the one. They're not experiencing what I am, which is what love is. It goes on forever. because they don't want to experience that. They live in fear of that as a result of fractures and fractures and fractures and fractures and fractures that have gone dark matter. So the difference between what they are and what we are is now you know the other. So when you know what love is, you know the real creation. That's living light and living spirit with a soul. So you can measure the difference by measuring the bands, which is measuring the bandwidth of the perception, which is a vibration that you're now measuring in others that you're experiencing in us. And that's why, as a polarity integrator, being the one as a monopole means that you can naturally balance those frequencies so that you're tuned in to the real music, which are the real gods and goddesses, if you will, that play music. The primal sound field. That's why they go Prime, Amazon Prime. Okay? Everything on their side is negative, magnetic polarity. So they don't put a minus sign in front of their letters and their numbers like billboards, traffic signs, jerseys on football players, right? Soccer players, baseball players. See? So that they improperly code the alphanumerical formatting so that the formatting codes of the reality is looping. Reverse flow. Simulations within simulations within simulations within simulations within simulations within simulations within simulations. Nothing new is being experienced. They're not living in the now of what love is. Wow, create a new experience. Something different that never had been experienced before. So when I was up atop Mount Ashland, I was informed that there were flowers that grew there that don't grow anywhere else on the planet. Wow, really? Yeah. That's an exceptionally excited kid that realizes, wow, I get to experience something that only exists right here, and I'm here. Wow, these are flowers that don't exist. That is special. Right? So you thrive on things that are new and different. It excites you. That's the artist, the creative artist that can do that with flowers. So when you've got a flower in you and a creative sound magician in you, then imagine how beautiful it is to create something that has never been experienced before, being on fire with what love is. We're all here.